I want to emphasize something. If politicians in most of the world's advanced nations do not tackle their entitlement programs, the government-run healthcare systems, the pension programs, the welfare programs, the disability programs, if those programs are not fixed, there will be major debt crises. Now, let me emphasize something. The problem is government spending. The symptom of too much government spending is debt. But the debt in and of itself can cause a crisis when investors, like they did with Greece back in 2009, when investors think suddenly, well, I don't know that I trust this government to pay back its loans. That's when you have a so-called debt crisis where interest rates spike up. Financial systems oftentimes are hit by contagion because oftentimes because of government mandates, they hold a lot of government bonds. And it's not going to be limited to a few small countries. When you're talking major countries like France and Italy, the prospect of a serious fiscal crisis should be very, very sobering because not only the crisis itself, but in all likelihood, what are these politicians going to do? They're going to say, let's raise taxes even further. Let's impose wealth taxes. Heck, they're pushing for a global wealth tax. So there are all sorts of really bad policy ideas out there. And the first instinct of politicians when the crisis happens, they're going to look up at the shelf of potential tax increases. Let's take these higher income tax rates. Let's take these value-added tax increases. Oh, and here's our wealth tax, which of course is what they've always wanted, is a big giant wealth tax. Ideally, through the OECD or something like that, or the IMF, they would want that harmonized throughout the entire world. And this is one of the reasons why I think Milei and what he's doing in Argentina, you're right, a lot of people don't pay much attention, but Milei is actually showing there is a real solution. It's spending restraint, because of course, higher taxes, that never works. Because what happens? The economy gets weaker. Politicians react to the thought of more money by increasing spending even further. And you simply wind up in this terrible cycle of more taxes, more spending, more debt, more taxes, more spending, more debt. And so I desperately want Javier Milei to have a good election, midterm election, October 26th, because if he can get through further reforms, he can show the entire world that there is a solution to the problem of too much government. And by the way, Patrick, I get asked all the time. I spoke earlier this year in China, in Hungary, and Estonia, just a couple of days ago in Mexico. Everyone asked me about Milei. The world is paying attention, at least sort of the policy wonks of the world are paying attention. And if Javier Milei can at least convince the so-called center-right parties of the world, instead of sort of having this appeasement, sort of soft big government mindset, if he can convince them to go back to a Reagan, Thatcher, more muscular agenda of limited government and free markets, I mean, I'm only slightly exaggerating when I say that Javier Milei may wind up saving the Western world.